Last October, Cambodia reached an agreement with Chinese companies to invest $1.7 billion to build a new waterway called the Funan Techo Canal. The planned canal will be 180 kilometers long and will affect the lives of 1.6 million residents after completion. Originally, many people were skeptical about whether the project could proceed smoothly, as Vietnam's strong opposition and interference from the United States made the project face many challenges. However, just a few days ago, the Funan Techo Canal project officially held a groundbreaking ceremony in Cambodia's Canal province. To celebrate this important moment, Cambodia also took a day off. But for Vietnam, this project is seen as a huge threat. So, how will the Funan Techo Canal project change the geopolitical landscape between Cambodia and Vietnam? Why should China support Cambodia? If you like our video content, please click to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can receive all our latest video content. Now, let's get into today's topic. Cambodia is located in the southern part of the Indochina Peninsula and has a coastline of about 460 kilometers. Along this coastline, the most important port is Sihanoukville, the only deep-water seaport in Cambodia. Although Sihanoukville has excellent natural conditions, Phnom Penh, the capital of the country, is located inland. Phnom Penh and Sihanoukville are blocked by the Cardamom Mountains and lack a complete road connection, making land transportation extremely inconvenient. To make matters worse, Cambodia's railway transportation system is also very underdeveloped. These railways are basically paralyzed due to long-term wars and disrepair. In this case, transportation in Cambodia mainly relies on inland canals, and most cargo transportation needs to be completed through rivers. It can be said that the canal is Cambodia's lifeline, connecting every corner of the country. But it is worth noting that although Cambodia has a relatively large inland canal network, these rivers do not all lead directly to the ocean, which limits the development of inland shipping. The Mekong River, as the main waterway, can be connected to the ocean, but in the lower reaches of the river, it exits the Cambodia-Vietnam border and eventually enters the sea near Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. All of its 9 estuaries are located in Vietnam. Therefore, Cambodia has long had to choose to transit through Vietnam to realize the export of goods, which further squeezes the development space of Cambodian ports. Moreover, exporting through Vietnam not only increases transportation costs and time, but may also be controlled and influenced by Vietnam. Previously, in order to coordinate the distribution of interest in the Mekong River Basin, Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, and Vietnam had established the Lower Mekong River Survey Coordination Committee to formulate a joint water resources development plan and promote the development of river transportation and other industries. Despite these agreements, Vietnam refused to allow Cambodian goods to pass through its territorial waters in 1994 for specific reasons, resulting in a large amount of goods stranded at the port and unable to go out to sea smoothly. Moreover, once Cambodia and Vietnam have more serious geopolitical issues, the seaport of Cambodian cargo ships will likely be restricted again. Therefore, Cambodia deeply realized that it must have a river transport channel completely under its control to connect the Mekong River, Phnom Penh, and its own seaport. Against this background, the Cambodian government proposed the Funan Techo Canal project. As far as I know, the canal, Funan Techo Canal, planned to be built in Cambodia was proposed in 2022, with a total investment of up to $1.7 billion. The Funan Techo Canal has now been formulated by Cambodia as a national strategic project. Its starting point is located at the Phnom Penh port, 30 kilometers southeast of the capital Phnom Penh, and extends southward to the seaport of Kep province, with a total length of 180 kilometers. The canal will connect important water systems in Cambodia, including the Mekong River, Tunnel Sap Lake, and Tunnel Bassac River, and will cross 4 provinces, namely Kandal, Ta Keo, Kampot, and Kep, covering a population of 1.6 million. The main purpose of building this canal is to allow Cambodia to have a true north-south waterway that can directly access the Gulf of Thailand. From the perspective of project planning, the design of the Funan Techo Canal is very detailed, with an upstream width of 100 meters, which gradually decreases to 80 meters as it extends southward, and an average water depth of 5.4 meters. Once completed, the canal will be able to carry ships with a maximum load of 3,000 tons in the future, which will significantly improve Cambodia's water transportation and logistics efficiency. The main engineering part of the canal includes 3 canal traffic navigation stations, which are designed to ensure the safety and smoothness of shipping. At the same time, 11 bridges are planned to be built on the canal, which will greatly promote the connection and transportation convenience between the two sides. In May 2023, Cambodia announced that it would fully promote the construction of the Funan Techo Canal in the next 5 years. But for Cambodia, such a project of the century, with a huge amount of engineering work, is undoubtedly very difficult, and there are serious challenges both in terms of technology and funding. In fact, as a comprehensive project, the Funan Techo Canal is not only a water transport channel, but also requires the construction of related water conservancy facilities to achieve the development of irrigation, aquaculture, and animal husbandry. This means that the project not only involves a large amount of earthwork, but also needs to overcome technical difficulties in many aspects such as environmental protection, safety, and stable operation of the canal. Secondly, the total investment in the construction of the Funan Techo Canal is as high as $1.7 billion, which is a huge financial burden for Cambodia. As a small country in Southeast Asia, Cambodia's GDP is only about $30 billion, and its per capita GDP is only $1,800. Such a high project investment is undoubtedly a huge economic pressure for Cambodia. In order to cope with these difficulties, Cambodia began to turn its attention to China for financial and technical support. So, is China willing to help Cambodia build this canal? In order to get China's support, Cambodia paid a state visit to China in May 2023, hoping to complete the construction of this important project through cooperation with China under the Belt and Road Initiative. As a global infrastructure construction power, China naturally has rich experience and strong technical capabilities in building canals. In October 2023, Cambodia and China Road and Bridge Corporation signed a framework agreement on the Funan Techo Canal project. According to the agreement, the Chinese company will contract the general engineering of the project and provide part of the funds and construction technology. It was not until May this year that Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet officially announced that the country plans to start construction of the Funan Techo Canal in August. Just a few days ago, this important project has been officially announced to start construction and is scheduled to be completed by 2029. What kind of changes will this project bring to Cambodia once it is completed? According to my analysis, once the construction of the Funan Techo Canal is completed, Phnom Penh Port, Cambodia's largest inland port, will be able to truly achieve independency access, not only no longer relying on Vietnam's outlet, but also drive the economic development of the areas along the canal, including the rise of commercial and logistics centers along the canal. In addition, the White Horse Port at the end of the canal is also expected to develop into a new international port area in Cambodia, driving the improvement of the quality of life and economic development of the surrounding nearly 1.6 million people. An American economics professor pointed out that once the Funan Techo Canal is put into operation, the proportion of goods arriving at Cambodia's Sihanoukville port is expected to increase significantly from the current 67% to 90%. There is also a time issue. In the past, goods exported to Vietnam through the Mekong River had to go through a series of cumbersome procedures such as inspection, application, and approval by the Vietnamese customs, which not only increased costs, but also caused the goods to be detained for about 1 day. If the construction of the Funan Techo Canal is completed, Cambodia will be able to avoid staying in Vietnamese customs. It is worth mentioning that during the period when Cambodia proposed the Funan Techo Canal project, Vietnam has been trying to prevent the construction of the project. Why is this? In 2010, the two countries signed the Mekong Water Transport Agreement, which enabled Cambodian goods to reach Vietnamese ports at a faster customs clearance speed. This agreement promoted the import and export of Cambodian goods through Vietnam, about 2 million tons per year, making the international freight cooperation between Vietnam and Cambodia the largest in the Mekong River basin. By 2023, the bilateral trade volume between Vietnam and Cambodia exceeded $10 billion, but a large part of it was due to the shipping cooperation on the Mekong River. Through this cooperation, Vietnam has received tens of millions of dollars in transit fees from Cambodia every year. However, once the Funan Techo Canal is built, Vietnam will find it difficult to obtain a large amount of cargo transit fees from Cambodia every year as before. In addition, when the canal is built, it will also greatly weaken the shipping value of Vietnam's Mekong River outlet. For a long time, Mekong River shipping has been an important means for Vietnam to contain Cambodia. Cambodia, due to lack of other options, can only succumb to Vietnam's conditions in international trade. Now, the emergence of the Funan Techo Canal will break this situation and provide Cambodia with an independent channel to the sea, so that it is no longer dependent on Vietnam. For this reason, Vietnam protested and almost threatened Cambodia to cancel the project immediately in order to maintain the relationship between Vietnam and Cambodia. Vietnam even proposed a new highway plan connecting Ho Chi Minh City and Phnom Penh, hoping to improve the traffic connection between the two countries in exchange for Cambodia's abandonment of the canal construction. However, Vietnam has no way to stop Cambodia's canal construction. Vietnam also questioned the plan, saying that Cambodia's approach will seriously damage the original river network system of the Mekong River and may cause a series of environmental problems such as seawater backflow on the Vietnamese side. The Vietnamese media even criticized Cambodia, saying that it will fall into China's debt trap, suggesting that Cambodia may face huge economic pressure and risks in the future with the financial support it relies on. But as early as March this year, the Cambodian parliament had passed the draft water transport law. That is to say, there is a solid legal basis to support the construction of the next canal, and environmental issues have naturally been evaluated and reviewed. So far, with the start of the canal, Vietnam must have exhausted all its methods to prevent the construction of the canal, but these are all to no avail. To not miss out on our future projects and news updates, please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. We will continue to provide you with more exciting and interesting content.